Yeah, happy to be here. My name is Muyiwa, Kolayemi. Yeah, talking about how a farmer becomes a DevOps engineer and some of the transferable skills that I found on my way, and also some surprising parallels, that I get to see in my. This is my third year in DevOps space now. So this picture I put it up, I think is interesting just to see, my then and now the versus now. This is a picture, the first one up there is the picture of me back in Nigeria getting ready for the planting season in 2017. As a farmer, I get to, this cassava is a very popular and a staple food in Nigeria. But I moved to Boston just about 2019, just before the pandemic, and then the whole thing happened, and I was okay, I need to reinvent myself, and I started learning cloud computing. I was able to get into AWS Restart program, and then after the 4-month intensive training, I got my first job as a cloud system engineer. So I worked there for like 10 months, then I finally got a job, DevOps role with Slalom Build, where I get to build automation and for our clients. So what are the surprising parallels that I found, on my way? One thing about with farmers, weather forecasting is very important. We take a look at how does the temperature and the relative humidity, how will it affect, my product, my yield, my seed, whether in storage or whether you are planting. And I found very similar thing even when I was exploring, observability tools. You make use of those metrics, like to know your, infrastructure, performance, your application performance, talking about, your CPU utilization, how is that affecting your SLA? I feel like, there are a lot of things that one can, join together when it comes to, farming and observability. Another thing that's surprising parallel for me is the seed quality and code quality. I know as a farmer, your seed is very important. How quality it is very important. So you do everything to make sure, that what you are putting in the soil is actually, credible. And I see that a lot even, when I write a code for pipeline, how to make sure I have my linked, make sure that, I have a lot of things that is checking security, that I'm not committing, AWS access key into the GitHub repo, and I think there's a relationship there that I find connected because I learned by association. Other thing I noticed is pest control. As a farmer, you are constantly thinking about, as I'm planting this, constantly thinking there's going to be, insects, going to be, a lot of attack even on your product or your seed. So how do you, plan ahead even as you are putting those things in the soil? And I found very correlation with DevSecOps. As you are, building your pipeline, you have to, consider, the security aspect of it. You have to make sure, you are thinking ahead of the, threat detection and all of that. Making sure you have your SaaS and DAST in your pipeline. And the last thing also is the soil testing and performance testing, which in cloud, cloud infrastructure is main thing, but for soil, you have to make sure that your soil is actually still give you the yield, and you constantly test it, for performance. So I find that's a kind of surprising parallel. So let's just move to the transferable skills for me. One thing that has really been helping me to move on is adaptability, being able to adapt to any situation that I find myself, especially as a consultant. I get to move from project to project, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? And by the time maybe 3 months into it, we'll actually end up to find solutions. So I think adaptability has really been helping me, along the way. And problem solving, again, as a consultant, if there's not a problem, there won't be need for organization consulting us. So I've been brought into that company, to solve whatever problem it is, even when we don't know what is happening, but we know as we gather more information, we'll be able to make informed decision. And another thing is the resource management. I have to think about, okay, most of the time, as a consultant, we have limited resources, limited information, but how can I manage whatever I have, to still make sense of the situation? I think that's one of the skills that I learned, even being a farmer, that is really helping me even on the job right now. And safety awareness. As a farmer, you're constantly, aware of like impediments, some threats. Right now, even as a DevOps engineer, I'm constantly, checking every code, every line of code, everything I do. Like, security is is the best practices and the first thing to consider. So, yeah, I think the key takeaways from here is just to want to encourage you all, like, embrace your journey, right? Your background contributes to how you show up. Whether you believe it or not, it contributes to it. And we need all you are to be a diverse DevOps community that we are building here. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect. Thank you so much.